This conference will now be
and
recorded.
AI sit. So I will start with 3D printing definition and what we have in this session. So you can see on the screen that in this session we'll be covering introduction of 3D printing. We'll discuss about rapid prototyping process. We'll come to know various rapid prototyping machines, thermoplastics we can use for 3D printing, and the basic research work you can carry out if you get into 3D printing area. Because if you are new in this area, if you are PG student, if you are PhD scholar, if you are young faculty member, few research ideas will definitely attract you, which I will cover in this session. And then you can start your own work with the basic minimum facilities you have in your college. Because nowadays the 3D printers are available in the market in around 25,000, 20,000. So you can run your own lab, you can develop your own lab. Many of our colleagues are working on this. Many of my friends have developed Center of Excellence for 3D printing. Mr. Shubham Avasti will talk more on this on Friday. He is young faculty members and he has developed a Center of Excellence in Government Engineering College where they have started their own lab on 3D printing and they have started research work, consultancy from 3D printing. So with idea of 3D printing and the detail of 3D printing, you can start work on 3D printing. It's a emerging area, and you know those who are teachers, they know that this is the emerging engineering area headed by AICT also. So they are running separate branch for 3D printing, for artificial intelligence. So those who are in the research area, those who are looking for research problems, they should uh, start working on this, and faculty members like us are ready to help you out. So in the last of this session, we'll see few applications of 3D printing. Then as per our discussion in this session, we'll talk about advantage, disadvantage and limitation of 3D printing. So now you can see on the screen, and if at any point, if you lose my voice and if you don't find my page on the screen or presentation, you please may interrupt me. I'll check at my end. So the first slide shows the difference between traditional machining process and the additive manufacturing process. So anyone who is from this mechanical background can understand the difference between machining and additive manufacturing by this diagram only. As you can see, that is, in machining you use tool and that tool cuts the material, and as per the drawing and as per the tool moves, you get the final product. But in case of additive manufacturing, you can see by the diagram that here you are putting one layer over another, and this is the way we produce a part using additive manufacturing. So the above machining process you see is the subtractive machining process, while the below figure is for additive manufacturing process. So in above process we remove the material, while in below process we add the material layer by layer. So this is the basic difference between traditional manufacturing methods and advanced additive manufacturing methods. So these slides give you idea about the basic difference, how tool behaves, how material behaves, how we proceed for additive manufacturing. Then comes another picture, very common picture, which again explains you the difference between traditional manufacturing method and advanced manufacturing methods. As you can see, the top, the above, the top process is subtractive manufacturing, where you start with a block of material, probably a rod or a bar. Then you do machining of that part. Then you get the 3D object, and ultimately you get waste as your material. While for additive manufacturing, you can see the below process where you start with the material. It is in the form of powder or liquid, and you start putting that material one layer over another. So you are putting material one over another layer. So you are adding material layer by layer, and you get the final object. So now you can see that final object is same for both the manufacturing process, but the process is different, the starting material is different, and the amount of waste you are getting is different. So this is the basic difference. You get less waste if you go for additive manufacturing. You can start with material which is available in the form of fluid, powder, while for subtractive manufacturing, which are traditional manufacturing methods, you need to start with material in the form of a rod or bar. And also this we know the traditional manufacturing methods we know because these machines we have in our labs in college. Wherever you are studying or whether you are working as faculty members, you have workshops over there, you have machines over there where you do subtractive manufacturing. But in the new machines in advanced manufacturing labs, you will find the 3D printer, and this slide shows you the basic difference between traditional manufacturing and additive manufacturing. Again, to make you clear the concept of 3D printing, you can see the complex part, any kind of complex part you can manufacture by 3D printer very easily. All you need to do is you need to give you need to make a drawing, you need to model a part in computer using software, and then you give details to the 3D printer. And as for the drawing, 3D printer manufacture the part very conveniently. So you need not to use any additional tool, any support for this, any sophisticated machines and tools to manufacture this part. All you need to do is you need to have one computer where you can draw the part, you can model the part, then you send the information to the 3D printer, and 3D printer manufacture that part. So it's easier than the traditional manufacturing methods. And second advantage is it can produce complex parts with ease. Another example you can see on the screen, it is now in the talk, it is now in the news that even artificial human organs are being manufactured in 3D printers. Many of you must have heard about the artificial organs which are being now used nowadays, and 3D printers are now used in a good capacity to produce artificial organs. And as for the drawing, you can produce artificial organs with material which is available in the market, the material plastics, thermoplastics used for human organs. For artificial human organs, you just need to use that material and you can produce any human organ. And these are now rapidly growing in biomedical sciences. In medical sciences, you will find many applications of 3D printer nowadays. So this is the progress of 3D printers. As far as contribution of 3D printer, you can see in engineering and design has the most part, means 3D printers are extremely contributing much in engineering and design, while you can see 3D printer applications in consumer products, in manufacturing, education, aerospace, medical, movies and theaters, architecture. We all know that nowadays civil structures are being manufactured using 3D printer. So in a one go, a large 3D printer manufacture complete buildings. We use these 3D printer in fashion also. So these are the various areas where 3D printers are being used nowadays, and its application is increasing rapidly. So it's a emerging area. More and more people are now accepting 3D printers. Limitations are obviously there, but people, researchers all around the world are working on the shortcoming on these limitations and trying to make 3D printing useful for different applications. So this is again a new research area where you should work on making parts which are more accepted, and 3D printer which are more useful in many other fields. So these are the different areas where 3D printers are contributing currently. Now to give you more feeling on this, you can see on the screen various products. You can find these products around you in day-to-day life. Many products which are made of plastics, now 3D printers are being used to manufacture these parts. Again, the benefits are that you can produce this part without any sophisticated tool. You just need a drawing, and quickly you can produce any part with any complexity. Means if your part has intricate shapes, hollow sections, and different thickness at different sections, which is not possible to manufacture using traditional machinery. You can use 3D printer to manufacture even these parts. So that's why this is very useful and being used in many applications. Few more examples. You can see different stands, bottles, and these are the plastic products. And in plastic area, these 3D printers are used extensively to produce different product with different design. Another important area where 3D printer is contributing, as I said earlier, that during for medical science, for medical field also, 3D printers are being used very effectively. And during the COVID pandemic situation, many 3D printer manufacturer and companies based on 3D printer, they produces masks and face shields for patients. And at many places in world, 3D printers were used and successively used to manufacture this kind of protection devices during COVID pandemic. Now look at the picture, which is again clearing that why 3D printer is very useful in manufacturing industry. You can see a cylinder head over there. Any part, complex part, those who are not from mechanical field, they can also understand any part, any object which is very complex and which has a complex shape with holes and intricate shapes, different thicknesses. This part is very difficult to manufacture using traditional manufacturing processes, because there you need a big machine, sophisticated tools, a skilled operator, because the operator which is working on machine should be much efficient to produce this kind of product. But if you use 3D printer, it is very easy. You just need to give a drawing to 3D printer, and 3D printer with its motion in X and Y, Z direction and at different angles, they can produce this kind of part also by adding one layer over another. So any complex part you can manufacture using 3D printer. So its applications is everywhere, at everywhere in different manufacturing industry, automobile industry, aerospace industries, plastic products. I'll show you more application of this again. All these pictures I am showing you because those who are new to this area and those who are familiar also, they will get the feeling of the 3D printer first. Then we'll talk about the technical part, what comes after that. So you can see one more picture where the complexity of product you can understand, the kind of structure you can see on the screen. This structure, once you go to manufacture on traditional machines, on lathe and shaper and milling, whichever available in your college or in factory, it is not possible to manufacture with ease. Means you always need to work more and more on this to produce. But if you use 3D printer, you simply give drawing and it produces this part, but with much ease, with good quality finish. So again, if you want to get good finish of your part, you go for 3D printer. Few more examples. I am showing you the complex parts we can manufacture by 3D printers. These are the few companies which are emerging right now, startups in the area of 3D printers. More and more companies are now entering into this 3D printing area. More and more startups has now established to use 3D printers. They are using 3D printers for training, for education, for consultancy, even repair work. Means one session is there in this FDP by Professor TVK Gupta, who will show you how we can use 3D printer for repair also. Means apart from manufacturing a complex product, you can use 3D printers for repairing also. So this kind of consultancy work, job work, repairing work, more and more companies are now investing in 3D printers. And one of the company, 3D Exter, will be with us tomorrow in second session we'll be having industry expert from 3D Action New Delhi. He will explain you on various aspects of 3D printing nowadays and how they are moving into the industry, moving in the market with their 3D printers. That will be again a very interesting session tomorrow, second session, where they will show you the market trends based on 3D printer. In the last means to give you idea on 3D printer and to show you more and more pictures. The idea was to let you know uh, what 3D printing is all about. And one more interesting picture is there on the screen right now. These are the different toys manufactured by 3D printer. And as we all know that with Atmanirbhar Bharat mission and Make in India mission, now more and more Indian manufacturers are starting manufacturing toys. And as our honorable prime minister focused on developing local toy industries, so this is again a new promising area where more and more manufacturers are now entering in toy manufacturing area. And 3D printer again is a key for all of them. They are using 3D printers efficiently to produce any toy with the given drawing and 3D object they can produce. So it's again a different promising area other than the manufacturing and repairing area. It's a toy manufacturing side, and more people are now attracting towards this. So with this, the slides which I have shown you right till now was to give you idea on 3D printing in how many ways we can use 3D printer for manufacturing complex part, for repairing, for medical field. You can use to produce human organs. You can use 3D printer for producing plastic parts. And then we saw one picture for toy industry. So these are the many areas where 3D printers are being nowadays used and contributing. And this use and their contribution is increasing at a very higher rate. Now we'll come to the technical part. We'll see the different technical terms associated with 3D printer, and many of the terms you might be aware of, but to recall these terms and those who are new to this area, I'll try to explain them the basic terminology behind 3D printing. And for this, the basic term is prototyping, and we'll start with prototyping, why this prototyping term is important for 3D printing. So prototype is basically a draft version and approximation of the final product, and it's essential part of product development for assessing form, fit, and functionality of a design before a significant investment is made. Because if you manufacture a new part and you start directly manufacturing that part and at later stage, if you find that that part is not correct, there is some mistake in the design or it is not functioning well, then it is not possible for you to come back, and the time and money you invested you cannot get back. So in that case where you are producing a new part, you're trying a new part, you always try to produce a prototype, because you always should start with prototype, because there you have a chance, because you are producing that part virtually, and by producing virtually that part you can check how that part will function, how interference will work, how the property you will get, and how that material looks, what dimensions it is having. So before actually producing any part, you should always try on prototype, and virtually you can check its form, its fit, whether it is fit or not, and how these parts can be used. So in this way, this prototype is very useful, and it helps in conceptualization of any design. It identifies the possible problems also. So if you try prototype in a virtual environment, you can see if any problem exists, you can change the design, and accordingly you can improve the design. But in case if you go for direct manufacturing, you cannot improve the design at later stage. So this is the biggest advantage of prototyping, and visualization purposes it is very useful. Then some of the prototypes you can see are used as market research, also for promotions. Also you can see in different fairs, technical fairs, you can find some models over there of vehicles, of machines. So they are extensively used for promotion also. Again, they are cheaper to manufacture. You can test and make changes to prototype very easily. And manual prototyping is very tough because it needs skills and expertise. So you should use virtual environment to produce uh, any prototype. So these are the various advantages I have talked. Then comes the second terminology, which is very popular, rapid prototyping. So it is again related to the prototype. It is to produce physical model in a layer by layer manner directly from the CAD model without any tool, dies and fixtures, which I've already discussed that directly you can produce rapidly, you can produce any part in a layer by layer manner. So it is capable to fabricate parts quickly with complex shapes as compared to any traditional manufacturing technology. And the biggest advantage is that you can early detect and reduce the design errors. So these are the few advantages of rapid prototyping. Other advantages of rapid prototyping are it increases the effective communication, it decreases the development time, you can decrease the costly mistakes, and time and money you can save. So these are the few advantages of rapid prototyping. Then comes the additive manufacturing principle. So prototyping, rapid prototyping, then comes additive manufacturing, the basic definition, the basic principle of additive manufacturing you can understand by a picture right now on the screen. This picture shows a sculpture puzzle in which a three-dimensional object has to be assembled from more than 1,000 slices. So there are more than 1,000 slices and you are putting one slice over another, and this is the way you produce a complete 3D object. Any object means theoretically you can say that can be sliced into layers, and you can build those layers regardless of any complexity. So if this part is very complex, you need not to bother the complexity, you just need to have different slices at different thickness, and once you have different slices, you can simply put one slice over another and you can get the 3D part, the 3D object very easily, very conveniently. So this is the power of additive manufacturing. Now comes the basic rapid prototyping process. It has 5 steps. You can see on the screen that the basic rapid prototyping process, how we move for rapid prototyping. So with few steps, you will be clear about the process of rapid prototyping, where you can produce a 3D part once you start with the design. So for this, what we need to do, the first step of any rapid prototyping process is the CAD model creation. You can see on the screen, you need to build a object in 3D modeler using CAD software. So once you get this kind of 3D model, you can further move for 3D printing of this part. So you start with a 3D model like this. So this is the first step. You need to build a CAD model. Then this CAD model need to be converted in STL format. STL format is nothing but to transform this drawing, this model, into a language which 3D printer knows. So here what we are doing, we are converting this complete model into STL file format, where we are representing this 3D model by planar surfaces. You can see in the figure there are number of triangles, and you are representing this particular object with several thousands of triangles to approximate. Means what we are doing that once you put these triangles in this object, you can represent this 3D object using a number of triangles, and this kind of information you give to the 3D printer. Yes, by using that number of triangles you can build this 3D product. So this conversion is the second step, where you convert a 3D model into STL format, and this is converted using software. Then you do slicing, as we have already discussed the additive manufacturing process, where we saw that you can produce any 3D part by putting one slice over another. So to give this information to 3D printer, what you need to do is you need to slice that part, whatever 3D printer part you have, you decide on that size of slices, the number of slices, and once you decide on the number of slices, you give this information to 3D printer, and then 3D printer produce the 3D part as per the information you give to 3D printer. So slicing is the third step. Then this part is manufactured layer by layer, where you can use different thickness to produce the 3D part. So this is the basic rapid prototyping process, where you start with a model, then you convert into STL file, then you do slicing, and then you produce this part layer by layer. And in the end, you need to do post processing. It involves prototype, which means some materials which are photosensitive. You need to use chemicals for post processing, and this is the final process by which you complete the manufacturing of any 3D part. So this is the 5 steps of rapid prototyping process. Everyone means those who wish to start work in 3D printing area, they must know these base of rapid prototyping process, 5 different steps, and these are very common steps before working on 3D printing and before going for research in 3D printing. Everyone must be clear about these processes. And this 5 step process is now shown by a process chain. You can see we start in the left or top, you can see there is a 3D CAD workstation, and you start with 3D modeling, then data is converted and transmitted to checking and preparing for pre-processing. Then you do building of means using 3D printer, you build the 3D part, and in the last you go for post processing. So this is the basic process of any basic of any rapid prototyping process you should go for. Then next comes the classification rapid prototyping system. So once you are clear with basic rapid prototyping process, then you should know the various rapid prototyping processes. So now we'll talk about classification of rapid prototyping processes. So you can see a very easy classification, very common classification, where this classification is based on the starting material which you are using. So if you are using liquid, if you're using solid, if you're using powder, then the rapid prototyping systems and rapid prototyping processes will be different. So this is the common classification of additive manufacturing process, rapid prototyping process, which are based on liquid, solid, powder. I will not go into the detail because you can find this detail in the literature. But here the idea is to give you a thought on this 3D printing, that in how many ways we can use 3D printers, how many ways these rapid prototyping processes are used. So these are based on liquid, solid, and powder based. So starting material is different, then rapid prototyping process is different, and then machine will be different, and you can use these machines in different applications. So this is the concept. This is the idea behind this classification. Each type rapid prototyping process has detailed explanation of using machines. So I'll not discuss this in detail. This is basically introduction lecture. So I'll leave it to the experts which we are having in this FDP. They will explain more on this. But to quickly see how we can elaborate more on this, I'll quickly go through the 3 rapid prototyping systems, where we start with liquid-based rapid prototyping system. So here the starting material is liquid. Mostly resins and polymers you use for liquid-based rapid prototyping systems. And there are 3 common machines which are popular: stereolithography, solid ground curing, droplet deposition manufacturing. So those who are familiar with this field, they know that the kind of machines which are popular and are on liquid base. Now the solid base machines are used for starting material as solid wood, plastic, or metal sheets we can use in these machines. And popular machines are laminated object manufacturing and fused deposition modeling. So these 2 popular machines are based on solid starting material. That's why they comes into the category of solid based rapid prototyping system. Then in the last, the next category is powder based rapid prototyping system, where you can see the starting material here in this case is powder. So if your starting material is powder, you can start with powder based rapid prototyping systems. And common material for which powders are available are bronze, elastomers, composites, ceramics. And common machines and popular machines are selective laser sintering, 3-dimensional printing, and laser engineering and net shaping. The common material we are using now. Next comes means once you know about the rapid prototyping system, once you know about the process of machine, how they work, and the classification. Next question comes the type of material we can use. So now you can see for different machines you can use thermoplastics, you can use alloys, you can use various metal powders, plastics, various other materials, composites you can use. So in many applications, in different applications you can use different materials and you can start your manufacturing your part, or you can start your research work also. Next comes the popular machine. You will means if you are entering into the 3D printing area, you will come to know, you will listen this again and again, SLA. So here in this session, I have a chance to brief you about how this machine works, and then once you go into the detail, it will be easier for you to check how this machine works. So as figure shows, you can see in the figure it builds 3D model from liquid photosensitive polymers when exposed to UV rays. So you are using ultraviolet rays. Then model is built upon a platform suited just below the surface of liquid. So just below the liquid, you have a platform, and once you put ultraviolet rays on that liquid, that gets solidifies. And once you move this platform up and down and in left and right direction, and successively you will get the final product. So the ultimately idea is that you start with the liquid, you use the ultraviolet rays to solidify that liquid, and then that solidified liquid resulted into the final product. You can move the table, you can move the platform of the machine. So this is the basic idea of a SLA machine. Then comes the second machine, which is very popular, and you will hear in 3D printing area, is laminated object manufacturing. Again, it's very easy to understand to know the working of this machine. You can see in the figure that you use paper or wood, and then slices of, in using some rolls, you feed that paper or wood to the machine. Then you use two rollers for this to control the supply. Then you use a laser beam to solidify that part, and this way it cuts the part and you get the remaining sheet on the other side. So you are moving sheet from one end to another, and you are using laser beam to cut that particular part as per the drawing, and you can move the platform up and down to get the final part. Then comes the very popular machine in the area of 3D printing, fuse deposition modeling. You can see in the figure, you can understand by the figure, where you use material spool, means in roller, like in a spool, you start using this material in the form of wire, and that wire is fed into the machine, where it gets melt. You can move the platform up and down, and as per the drawing, that material comes from in the form of wires, get melted and get solidifies on the platform. That is using some extrusion device. You can see extrusion nozzles are there. They are used to put these wires to the machine, push that wire to the platform, and then by hitting this material get melted and solidifies, and you get the final product. This is a very common machine used in 3D printing area. Then comes the next machines, SLS, selective laser sintering. This is the last means machine which I have covered in this lecture. That these four machines you should know. If you are trying your hand in 3D printing, you should know about what is SLA, what is LOM machine, what is FDM, what is SLS machine. These are the very common machines. You should know the principle, you should know the difference in terms of material and in functioning. Now you can easily understand the machine is works with powder. So here the starting material is powder, where the powder material is kept on a delivery platform, and it is supplied to the main area by a roller. So each layer, a laser is used to trace the corresponding shape of the part on the surface of the building area by hitting the powder until it melts and fusing it with the layer below it. So again, here the principle is same. You start with the starting material, but here the starting material is powder. The feeding mechanism is different, the platform structure might be different, the machine structures might be different, the input might be different, but ultimately what we are getting as per the drawing, we are getting the solid part very easily without using much tools and jigs and fixtures. Using simple mechanism, you get a solid part using it directly from your CAD model. So this is the basic principle of all the machines. And these are the few machines which are readily available in the market. You can search on internet. Many rapid prototyping machine manufacturers, 3D printer manufacturers are available in the market. You can choose as per your convenience. You can start working on 3D printer. You can purchase, as I said earlier, nowadays it comes in the range of 20 to 30,000 only. So very easily, if you are active in this area, if you want to develop a 3D printing lab in your college, in your institution, you can start with this kind of 3D printers which are now easily available in the market. These are the basic materials which I've already talked about. Now comes the more technical part, means I will be discussing on the research part, because after knowing the process, after knowing the machines, after knowing its complexity, different material we can use, the limitations, now comes the various research work we can carry out in the area of 3D printers. Means once you try your hand as a PhD scholar, as a PG scholar, as a young faculty members, if you try your hand in 3D printing area, in how many ways you can try your research work. And these are the few research work I am showing you, and these research work we are trying at our lab. Here we have advanced manufacturing lab in our college, and our PG student and PhD students are working on different research problems. So I am showing you in this session few research problems you can try. Means as a beginner, you should try with some problem which have already been attempted, which have already been solved. You can repeat that problem, you can repeat the exercise, you can check your machine capacity, your infrastructure capacity. So you should repeat one experiment to check whether you are going in the right direction or not. Then you can try your hand in new research area, new problem, you can try new problem. But here those who are from mechanical background, it will be easy to guess the picture. Here the problem is to rapid prototyping of sand casting pattern. So pattern is used, as we know, when we teach this foundry lab in first year and second year mechanical workshop in mechanical subject, where we use patterns either from solid or aluminum pattern we use to produce castings. So here, if you try your hand in 3D printing, and 3D printing can be very beneficial in producing patterns for castings, and this problem is related to this. So you can see there are three patterns which are being shown, and different patterns are made from different material. But rapid prototyping is very useful and can be used effectively if this pattern is of complex shape, and it is difficult to craft it on wood and any other material as thin. Because if the thickness is very less, if you have thin structures, if you have complex structure, it is very tough to produce pattern by the traditional methods. So here enters the rapid prototyping process. It helps in developing this kind of pattern with much ease. But again, the research problem says that if you try something new, if you try to develop something new, you always need to check its validity. Means if you go for any research problem, if you devise some new part, if you devise some new method, if you formulate a new formula, you always need to check with the existing problems, you always need to check with the existing practices, whether your problem, whether your investigation is going on the right side, whether whatever you have achieved is beneficial or not. So whatever you achieve in your research part, whatever results you get, you always need to compare it with the already established result. So here what we are doing in our research lab in our college, we are using softwares to check this pattern, whether we are achieving the properties or not. Because it is not like you are producing any part by 3D printing and if you feel that all will be perfect. No, If you are trying your hand in 3D printing, if you use different materials and do rapid prototyping, you always need to check the final properties of the part, because ultimately that final part will be used in the market. And if your part is not up to the mark, if it is not functioning well, then all your work is not valid, means whatever time and money you spend will not work. So you always need to check the final outcome of this part using this software. So various softwares are available to check the final properties of output we are getting by rapid prototyping. So you start with CAD model, as I said earlier, you start with a CAD model, and then you finally get a pattern. With this much of complex pattern, you can easily make by 3D printer. But again, once you start working on this kind of problem, you always must be careful that whatever you do in your research work, the final results should be compared with the existing results. Means whatever you have achieved by your research, that must be valid, that must be new, and that must be superior than the other any other research available in literature. Means in a one go you cannot produce a new part, new method in a one go and you claim that your research is extraordinary or outstanding. Your research will be accepted only if you compare your outcome with the existing result, the existing practices, and then you claim, then you justify that your research is beneficial in terms of cost, in terms of money, in terms of final superior property you are getting from the part. So what we do in this case also, this slide I'll means maybe not clear, but I'll explain that once you use FDM for your pattern making for any part, you always try to check its validity in terms of complexity, whether it is able to manufacture complex part and you can produce in less time. So time you should invest less, the cost should be less, the quality must be superior, and you should get complex shapes. So these are the four different part areas where you can try 3D printing in reverse engineering. So reverse engineering is again a very promising area. Nowadays we come to hear this term again and again, reverse engineering. And reverse engineering is nothing but recreating some part, and 3D printing and 3D scanners are used extensively to go for reverse engineering. So in reverse engineering, what we do, we produce a part by taking its dimensions in cloud data form, and then we reproduce this part. But again, as I said earlier, and I'll repeat again in the later half, in end of this session also, that once you try your hand in new area and you are producing something new part, you always should justify that your developed a part is beneficial in terms of time spent, in terms of cost spent, in terms of complex and the property. So properties should be enhanced. You should produce complex parts. Second, third, cost must be less, and fourth, time you should spend less if you are producing new method in 3D printer. So in these four areas, in these four scales, they measure your contribution, and your research can be accepted if you justify your outcome in these terms. Now you can see one propeller on the screen, and we took this problem from local manufacturer in our city, where they are using this propeller for aero models. They are a big aero model manufacturer. They are producing samples through defense and air force, and they are using these kind of propellers, and they use traditional manufacturing methods for propellers, because once they start working on producing propellers, they always go for the traditional method. They cannot change the design at the later stage, and if they change the design, or if they develop a new product, they need to start from the scratch. Means if you try to change the design of the current propeller you are now seeing on the screen, they will start from the drawing, they will change the setup of the casting, they will change the setup of the pattern, then they will change the whole process, and which is not possible all the time. Means suppose one customer comes and wants some change in the design, it is very easy if you try your hand on 3D scanner and 3D printer, where you can easily change your design virtually, you can check the design, you can test that design for property, for functionality. But again, if you go for traditional methods, if you try to change something, then it is not possible. So if you try to develop new things, if you want to improve some product, you always should go for rapid prototyping, virtual prototyping using 3D printers, and there you can check the functions and fits of any part. So a 3D scanner is again very useful in research area and in experimental work. Various experiments you can conduct on 3D scanners and 3D printers. So these are very useful in terms of research. If you are trying your hand in reverse engineering, if you are reproducing a part, then these 3D scanners and 3D printers play a very major role, where you can combinedly use 3D scanner and 3D printer for re-engineering of a part, for reverse engineering of a part. So in our lab, in our college, we have 3D scanner, we have coordinate measuring machine, and 3D printer. So if you are want to develop a lab in advanced manufacturing area in your college, you can start with a small 3D printer, basic 3D scanner, and vernier calipers you can use for check the dimensions, and CMM, if you can afford, you can use coordinate measuring machine to check the dimensions. So these are the few advanced machines you can try in developing a new lab in the area of advanced manufacturing labs. And if you try your hand in developing advanced manufacturing lab, it helps in the field of automobile, in aerospace, in plastic industries. As I said earlier, I explained you the application of 3D printer in different areas. So you can target many areas if you develop a advanced manufacturing lab using 3D printer, 3D scanners, coordinate measuring machines, and many faculty members are working in this. Many experts will be listening in next 5 days in different session. Experts from IITs will show the capacity of 3D printers and 3D scanners, and the kind of work they can do in research and consultancy, in repair. Even we have one session from industry expert from thermal spray coating area. They will show you how to go for metal 3D printing, because more and more we are talking on 3D printing till now is on plastics, and whatever material you get from literature, all the processes are based on plastics only. But the promising area nowadays is metal, because more and more metals you are using in industry. So you need to find a way to produce parts from metal using 3D printers. We'll see into that also. So again, if you have idea on 3D scanner, you use a calibration board, which is used to detect the position of camera and projector, whether our 3D scanner is working right or not. We have this 3D printer in our lab. It's again a desktop type 3D printer you can use to produce 3D part. Then we have coordinate measuring machine. I'm just showing, giving you the idea, the kind of work, the kind of experiment you can do, the kind of research, basic research you can start with. So if you have 3D printer, 3D scanner, coordinate measuring machine, you can start working on that. Then for the problem I mentioned earlier, that in a local manufacturing industry in our city, they are producing popular propellers for aero model manufacturing, means they are producing aero models to Air Force and defense. They try their hands on prototypes. The army in defense, once they do testing, they try on prototypes. And a manufacturer, local manufacturer in our city, is producing prototypes for defense applications, and they are using this propeller. So what they feel, that if we can improve this propeller, they were struck, if we can improve this propeller. So there is no way to improve this propeller if you go by traditional methods. But if you try your hand, if you use 3D printer, so we used 3D printer, 3D scanner to reproduce and to re-engineer this part. How we do this? Because here, earlier what they were doing, I just want to let you know what they were doing. They were doing to produce, means they were producing propeller by nylon through injection molding. So injection molding is used to get the shiny surfaces, we all know, those who are from this side. So they will be using injection molding, which is a very costly setup. And once you produce something from injection molding, and if you want to try to change something, it is not possible. So we suggested them to use 3D printer, and my PhD students approached, my master student approached there, and they took this problem from the industry, and then we try to re-engineer this part. And now you can understand that it is easy to change in 3D printer, means as against the traditional manufacturing method. Means if you have the drawing, you can change the drawing in the 3D CAD model software, and then you can produce by 3D printer. But it is not possible if you don't have 3D printers and CAD model like software. So we tried our hand in this. Then we modeled this propeller in software, and we tried our hand in 3D printer and 3D scanning. So we use 3D scanner, as I shown you earlier, that 3D scanner is used to get the data, means whatever the product structure is, whatever its dimensions is, we can get the complete design of a part using 3D scanners. Then from the data we got from 3D scanner, we modeled this part in 3D CAD model. You can see this part we modeled in CAD software, and then using the CAD point cloud data. So from data we produce this part, and you can easily understand that now if you change this design, it is easier. Means you have a part in CAD model, then it is easy to change this part, to change the dimensions, to change the design. So here we tried some options. Here we tried some variations in this part. In computer with our CAD model, we tried several options. We tried on various designs. We tried on different designs, and we checked the properties of these different designs. Then we suggested the best design. So we started with 3D scanner. Then using the 3D scan data, we produced this part using CAD model software. So we produce a 3D model here using a CAD model software. Then once you have the CAD model, we all know that we need to send this drawing, this information to the machine, any advanced machine which is using CAD model as the input, requires information in terms of the data dimensions and all. So this CAD model is now converted into wireframe model, and then the final CAD model which we have developed, the change. The CAD model right now you are seeing is the change CAD model, because we tried several options. We tried different designs with different sizes, with different thickness, with different materials, and then we checked the properties of these CAD model. And when we got satisfied that yes, this kind of design will work, then we go for actual manufacturer using 3D printer. So you can understand the basic difference here is that if you use 3D printer, you have the flexibility of changing the design. You can change the design, you can change the dimensions, and then you can easily check whether your new design is beneficial, is better than the previous one. So we finally produce this 3D printer part, and we gave this part to the manufacturer that you can try this propeller. And this kind of design, again we suggested different design, because we have the idea of 3D printer and reverse engineering and 3D scanner. We proposed a new design also. So these are the basic research ideas we worked upon. Then we check the dimensions of this part, whether our part is okay or not. So this kind of coordinate measuring machine, this is we have in our advanced manufacturing lab, where we check the dimension of the part. Then the result are there on the screen right now. You can see the time, the material, the cost of manufacturing one unit if your total production is less than 2.5 thousand, and if your production is more than 2.5 thousand. Why I'm means put a slide for you, that once you do reverse engineering, or if you develop a new part, as I said earlier, you need to compare with the existing part. So here they were using, earlier the manufacturing unit was using injection molding part, and we produced that part in 3D printer using 3D scanner, and you can see the difference. The time it took more, the 3D printer took time more, because 3D scanner was getting data in more time, so time was more. But you can see the price cost of material per unit gram is less if you go for reverse engineering. And you can see the point number 4, if the total the production is less than 2.5 thousand units, the reverse engineering method using 3D printer is beneficial. So this was claimed by us, and this was presented as research to the manufacturing industry, and they accepted our research. They are now trying these reverse engineered propellers in their new models. So this kind of research we did and contributed to the local manufacturing unit in our city. This kind of work you people can also do with different parts. You can try some part which is very complex and which requires some modification, but that part you cannot change with the current process. Then you can try your hand on 3D printer and 3D scanner. You can reverse engineer, you can reproduce those parts using 3D printer and 3D scanner. So I will skip other results. I'll come back to the second type of research work we are doing. So here, the next second part, I'll finish with this research work because it is almost more than 1 hour and we are about to end in 1.5 hours. So I will quickly talk about the research work. Why I am showing this is that these are the very simple research problem you can start with any master student or PhD student, but you can attempt more and more complex problem. But how you should start? I am explaining the basic research problem you can start with is in the area of reverse engineering, which we have already talked about. And the second research area is the experimental investigations you can carry out to do research for checking the mechanical property of any part. Now, maybe this figure may be confusing to all, but this figure shows you the process parameter. Means in rapid prototyping process, if you try to manufacture any part, you need to have some operating parameters. Like in traditional machines, lathe, shaper, and milling, you have feed, you have depth of cut, you have motor speed, you have your rotor speed, head stroke speed, and other different parameters you have. Likewise, in 3D printer, different operating parameters you need to control. Like you can see on the screen, layer thickness, the orientation of the part, how will you will put the part in the machine. So these are the various process parameter you should focus on, and then by making change in these parameters, you can get the change in the result, and then you can justify that yes, this combination of parameter is best. Like if you might have heard about optimization algorithm. Many optimization methods work upon the optimum combination of process parameter by which you can get the better results. So if you want to get better results from 3D printers, what you require to change, you require to try different combination process parameters, and then you check which combination of process parameter gives you the best result. So here the diagram currently on the screen is for the different process parameter you should try, and list is there now on the screen. Build orientation, layer thickness, air gap, raster angle, raster width, infill pattern, and infill density. I will not go into the detail of each and every parameter, but I am giving you the idea that kind of process parameter you should try. And those who are beginner, those who are starting their career in 3D printing, and those who are fascinating about 3D printer, those who want to start their career, their research in 3D printer, they must be aware that this kind of process parameter they should be aware of, and then they need to control these parameters to produce the part with superior quality and superior properties. Now this is a familiar drawing. You all know that in case of tensile strength and compressive strength experiment in UTMs, we use specification, some specimen which is of standard specification. So if you try your hand in testing the mechanical property, you need to produce specimen of particular dimensions as per standard, and then you can start checking your strength. So this is the specimen for 3D printer manufacture part, and it is as per the standard of ASTM 638 type 4. So those who will work on that, they will come to know more and more on this, that to test this part, you always need to produce a part as per this standard ASTM 638. So we produce in our lab whenever we do experiment, whenever our PhD and PG student do experiment, they try their specimen, they produce their specimen as per the ASTM standard, and then you check the design of this specimen in software. You can check various options, you can change the dimensions, you can change the design. So we use this software before giving this a part to manufacture in 3D printing. So I'll show you now. I am showing you few pictures of actual producing specimen in our lab. So here by first giving a drawing and then producing CAD model, and then we do the slicing, and the information we give to 3D printer, and how we finally produce the specimen for testing. So for different material and for different specification we require, we produce different specimen in our lab for different experiment, for different research problems. This kind of specimen we make, and then we check the dimensional accuracy. Means whatever change you make in the operation, means you change the process parameter, and then you get the change in the result. So you need to investigate that how you change the operating parameter and how it affects the final property. So you always try to check the effect of various operating parameters on the final outcome. And this is about this. You can see we checked with different combination of different process parameters, and we checked the effect on dimensional accuracy. Similarly, we tried our hand on mechanical property testing. You can find this kind of testing machine for plastic. It is not same as the testing machine for metal. It is for plastics. We have this tensile testing machine. So again, by using the specimen, we check the properties of this specimen, and then you can check the effect of various process parameter on final properties. Means how speed is affecting, how the change in layer thickness affects the final property, how you check, means if you change the orientation of the part, how will it affect, if it affect the tensile strength of the part. So you can check the tensile strength, compressive strength, and different properties by changing the operation parameter, and need to find the relation between this. We need to find the relation between the input and output, and this is the research. So this is the basic research where you can find the effect of any parameter on final outcome. You can try your hand in these basic experiment which we are having in our lab. So we have some results on tensile strength. So after doing this research work, we found that density and print speed are critical parameters. So the most influencing parameters were density and print speed. So we somehow we do experimental investigations, and after carrying out this research for long, and after producing in many number of specimens, we found that density and print speeds are most influential. So in the similar way, you can try for different properties for different parts and for different operating parameters with different methods. You can try and check how the input parameter affect the final outcome. Now you can see one equation you can directly use in MATLAB, because most of us are now aware about MATLAB and how effectively it can use for optimization. MATLAB requires equation and input parameters. So if you give equation and if you give input parameter values to MATLAB, then it tries on different combination by its own algorithm, and it gives you the optimum result. So those who are familiar, they know that if you give one equation and some parameters, the MATLAB with its own algorithm will give you the best result, that which combination is best. So using this experimental investigation, we tried our hand on MATLAB, and optimization we used to check the effect of input parameters on final outcome. Means how compressive strength changes, how sliding wear changes, what is the improvement in tensile strength, what is the improvement in flexure strength, what is the effect on impact strength. Means once you change the input parameter, how that changes. a new interesting area is photo. I am in the end of this session, and I just want to conclude with this, that is a new research area is now composites, and my research scholars are doing on this research work on this, that here you can use multiple heads for different materials, so you can work in the area of 3D printing with composites. Here it is easy to fabricate multicolor and multi-material 3D printing composites, and you can check the effect of operating parameters on the final outcome. So this is how you can design the experiment for composites in 3D printer for different combination, for different structure, for different design, for different specification. You can produce composites, and you can check the effect of input parameters on the outcome. So this is again a new area, new emerging area we are trying on in our research group. And in the last, to keep away from the technical side, means I have discussed about the technical part till now, and now we are in the end of this session. We'll see a few more applications. This will attract you in the end of this session, that now, yes, after doing this kind of research activity, again, I come back to the application part to keep you engaging in this session, to keep you attracted toward this session. You can see the application of 3D printing in rapid manufacturing, rapid tooling, biomedical applications, then few applications which will again attract you. The automobile sector is now using 3D printers for dashboards, for fuel tanks. You can see they are all manufactured using 3D printer. Then you can modify the front part of automobile, which now companies are using 3D printer. This is the first 3D printed car, Sprati. You can find more detail on internet and literature, how they manufactured the 3D printed car. And this is again a point of attraction for many of us. Then you can find more detail on 3D printed bus, which is manufactured by rapid prototyping process. How they manufacture this, what are the limitations, how they started with. This is a very interesting story, and those who are interested, they will find more on this, and they will be more attracted towards this. Then you can see its application in again medical science, where you can see you can repair, you can operate some part, and you can use this 3D printing technology for implants. So this is again clear from the diagram, where you need to repair something. If you are growing something, means some problem, you can repair some organ, you can repair bones, even bones, by using suitable material. You can do that. Then these are the different hip sockets that was manufactured by uh, titanium and other materials, different applications of aerospace. So those who are interested, they can find many applications of 3D printing area in different applications. Few of them I have covered in the beginning of the session, and in the end of session I'm again showing you some attractive work, some attractive feature, attractive result of 3D print technology. So again, this kind of lamp you can produce by 3D printer, decorative items, toys you can produce. You can start your own startup, your industry. All you need to know the scope of that industry, the demand of this industry, and you can move in this area. In the last, we'll quickly see the advantages which we have already discussed. Process is fast, superior quality surface finish we get, separate material you can use, no need to design jigs and fixtures, no need of separate tools. Post processing is very easy, harder materials you can use, and minimum material wastage. So those who have listened this session, those who have idea of 3D printer, those who are in this session, they can easily understand these points by the examples I have covered, by the research problems I covered in this session. But let us quickly see some of the disadvantages, because it is not easy to use 3D printer in each and every applications. Then how you decide on when to use 3D printer? the producer may produce an inadequate system that is unable to meet the overall demand of an organization, because too much involvement of the user might hamper the optimization of the program. Producer may be too attached to the program of rapid prototyping, thus it may be lead to legal involvement. One more disadvantage of rapid prototyping is that it may not be suitable for large size applications. So biggest disadvantage is that if the part size is large, you may not find that large size 3D printer that can produce part. Again, cost is very high, means if you actually try to use 3D printer for an industrial part, it is very costly. 3D printing is very costly. You cannot use 3D printer extensively for producing your industrial parts. Third point is that you need to have skilled manpower for this. You need to have trained labor for this. So training is again costly, and if you somehow stuck in this operation, you need to be aware, you need to be trained enough to sort out the problem. So cost and size and the skill are the biggest challenges. And in the last, limitation. Somehow in the last we see the limitation of 3D printing. Then the biggest limitation of rapid prototyping is the limited range of material. You can see few of the limitation, but in my opinion, and you can find more on this, that the range of material is very less, means very few kind of material, very few different materials are available, mainly plastics are available. So if you want to use 3D printer in almost all applications, you cannot use, because it has limitation in terms of range of material. Many times components may get distorted, so you need to use some support. And staircase, it must be there. Cost again is the biggest disadvantage for this. So this was all about 3D printing basics and applications. I started with application. We talked about rapid prototyping process, different machines we discussed. Then I talked about research problems, how you can start your research problem in the area of 3D printing. Then we came to the end and saw some disadvantages and limitations. So this was from my side, and now those who wish to ask something, they can write in the chat box. I'll take query in next 10 minutes. We are about to end this session at 2. So I'll take up now query from your side. You can use uh, chat box to raise your query. I'll check your queries and answer. Thanks for listening. And those who have query, please write in the chat box. So I guess means most of the topics are clear to all, and thanks for joining this session. I'll share with you uh, one question is there. 3D printing is a technology 4.0. Is it means industry 4? If it is industry 4.0, yes, it is the integrated part of industry 4, where you use cloud-based manufacturing methods, cyber physical manufacturing methods, 3D printing. This is the integrated part of industry 4. Industry 4 uses most methods based on cloud data and online operation, online working. So it is the part of that. So I guess you have got some idea on 3D printing, and this was the introduction section. I'll share with you the attendance form within next 10 minutes. I'll share Google form for your attendance of this session on WhatsApp group and on email. So till 2:15, you can fill that form for your attendance. I repeat, I'll share attendance here in WhatsApp group and in chat box, where you can mark your attendance and